Hi, this is Trisha from Trice Village. This is our tribe, our village, our family, and today we are joined by Clarissa Cumberbatch. Clarissa is a licensed attorney in the state of California, where she realized that she had to realign with her higher self and her true purpose in this world, and that led her on a spiritual journey. And eventually, she created her own independent law firm, Cumberbatch Law.
Thanks for having me and inviting me on. I love your show.
Our honor. Walk us through your journey. You graduated law school, you started working at these different law firms, you're excited, you get your feet wet in the field, you're helping people. At which point did you have to stop and say, wait a minute, something is off here. I need to reassess how the stars are aligned within me.
Wow. There wasn't a lot of thought about, well, what do you want? What excites you? What motivates you? What keeps you going? What fulfills you? There wasn't a lot of that. And when I had those things come up in the many ways that it did, and they were all different, I think that's when it was like, okay, no, I think the universe has spoken enough times. What this is telling me is, you know what you want, you know what you need, and only you would know that. So trust that, and then go out there and find that thing that you're looking for.
Can you give us one example of something that made you realize I need to reassess things?
Yes, I remember working with a client. It was very apparent to me that they hadn't felt seen before, if you know what I'm saying.
Did you feel like you were going down that path where you weren't being empathetic, and then you had to and then your experience with this client reminded you that you need to return to that state? Or did you observe a lack of empathy in other attorneys and you didn't want to be like that, so you decided to make an intentional change?
Can I plead the fifth? You know, everybody operates how they want to operate, right? And unfortunately for me, I did see a little bit of that. And I was a little bit disheartened by that. And almost as if like all the things I thought my fantasy of what this work would have looked like had been a little bit poo-pooed on, if you will. And it was because we're going to help people and lawyers do. That's not what I'm not trying to say that they don't. But like, you know, this is going to be great, and we're going to be here, and we're going to show in, and we're going to support somebody. And then it doesn't necessarily connect for me that if we're saying X, but we're doing Y, whether or not those two things reconcile very nicely with each other. So unfortunately, to your question, it was the latter. And I felt like I was doing a disservice for myself, or to myself, and certainly a disservice to my clients if I had also adopted that feeling.
Thank you for having that awareness.
It's important that the person, whomever it is that is having an encounter with me, feels seen, feels heard, and that they genuinely understand that their experience and they themselves actually matter.
You went into the field of law, you saw some things that didn't sit right with your soul, you had numerous signs that says, Clarissa, time to go to the right. You were going to the left. Let's take another turn.
Yeah.
What did that look like? What did your spiritual journey look like?
You know, that's an interesting question. I like to refer to this period of time as returning to myself. We listened to our own intuitions best as we could into doing and moving in a way that feels true for ourselves. And I needed to have that moment of reconciliation with myself. And at the same time, doing it with compassion and not feeling defeated by not learning these things before or those other sorts of things. It's been a very interesting thing. It's a good place to be.
That's a very valid point that you made, that we need to have compassion. And then in the process of not having compassion for yourself, you lose so much of yourself.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a lot of truth to that. Going back to your point about like awareness, I think that's what it is. Like check in sometimes, stop and check in and think about literally self. I wasn't aware before, now I'm aware, and I'm going to be kind to myself. And by being kind to myself, I think that only allows more room or clears more space to give that to a person who is depending on me.
You can't pour into an empty glass. What is it? You can't pour into a cup from an empty glass. Something like that.
That's accurate. It's the latter of those two things you attempted to say. Yes.
The idea. Take care of yourself.
Yes, the idea is note to self, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself. And not being afraid. I have to share, not being afraid of how that might look to somebody else.
Can you elaborate for us?
Can I elaborate? I think I kind of have to be very fearless in pursuing those things in light of the distractions and all the things outside of you that kind of says, oh, this is kind of weird, or oh, this is weird, like out there. You've got to be unafraid to do so, even in the face of society or whomever that thing or person is for you that tells you otherwise. It tells you.
So we need to have fearless reconnection to our inner self.
Yes, fearless. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, I love what you said about distractions, to find a way beyond the distractions of the box that you're placed in. Really, you say it's important to check in, but when you don't give yourself time to listen to the answers of your checking in, then so much is lost.
Yeah, because it's like, what's the point? Why did you do that?
Exactly.
So, well, rest is very important.
Rest. Yes.
I personally think you'll be even more productive if you stop and took 10 minutes to detach from everything. Lie on your back in a quiet room, or like any number of things. As you can see, my diffuser, anything to kind of help bring down the temperature and have a moment with self. I think that is so important. I personally find that I'm way more productive even if I took 10 minutes to just do that.
Yeah, but we're not conditioned like that. Sleep is not prioritized. Rest, not only sleep, rest comes in many different forms. Sleep is important, but just taking time, like you said, to slow down and be with yourself is extremely important. And it's so hard, especially when, besides the get up and go mentality, there's just so much that could distract us, even when we're by ourselves or not doing anything. Like you have the YouTube, you have the
cell phone, which is the culprit. Good God. That is
so much TikTok videos.
And then before you know it, you've spent like hours, right? It's very easy to go down the rabbit hole with these things, but then you know, I do think that those are the moments of like, oh no, really rest. That, like you said, it means everything. It's not just sleep. It's taking a break. It's putting down your phone. Not doing anything for like 5 minutes, or eating dinner without distractions, or any of those number of things, because it allows things to come to the surface that might have not been to the surface, or not brought to the surface rather, while I was distracted with my phone or with thing that's making noise outside my door, or whatever the case might be.
You're right. The distractions could really take you off your path, and we have to be aware of that. So thank you for that reminder, Clarissa.
No, you're welcome. I think it's nice to check in. Yeah, I write some things down every now and again, like literally. Funny enough, if I have like a full schedule, I would write that into my schedule. As a time block, like as a real time block, which
good. So you don't forget about it.
Yeah,
you're prioritizing it.
Right. There's no excuse, because it's very easy for me to just say, oh, I'm going to do this today, and then the day gets away from me because I have to get something out the door or whatever the case may be, and then before you know it, I don't do it, and then I just move on to the next thing.
So Clarissa, you had this come to this higher being and my position in this world moment. Was everyone supportive of that new journey that you were on?
That's an interesting question. It's only interesting because the people, when someone's experiencing that, at least in my experience, it can be very isolating, because one, you don't understand it. to the extent that when it's new, I should say, when it's new and it's fresh and it's foreign to you and you're doing something you've never done before, it makes it very difficult to communicate to other people what you might be experiencing. So for that reason, it can be isolating.
Wait a minute, Clarissa. So you mean to tell me that you didn't say, okay, tomorrow I'm starting my spiritual journey at 9 a.m. and it's going to look like X, Y, and Z. And when I reach to this point, I know I've made it. It didn't happen like that.
No, that would have been great, because then I could just put it on a calendar and be like, okay, I'm only going to feel like this for this finite amount of time. Definitely not what happened. I wish. I wish I was so scheduled. No, you know, honestly, it's funny you said that. I'm glad that you did, because it truly ebbs and flows. It really does. There's some parts of it where it's like you have to take it as it comes. There's no set timetable or a set topic or thing that comes up for you. Like, no, you just take the day as it comes and validate your own experience. The people who were aware of whether or not they were on this similar path or journey, the people who were aware, thankfully, were very, very supportive, I would say. There was this interesting dichotomy that happened where it felt like, oh, I can share. I can let you in to this space. Exactly. I can let you into this space so that way you are aware of what's happening and stuff like that. And no, you cannot do that with everybody. But it's beautiful when you can. I think that's the beauty of it, is that it clears space for me to be very honest with myself about who, what, where, why I am, what my needs are. So that way I can clearly communicate that to somebody else, if need be, if the situation calls for it. And then the beauty is I can relate that or have a discussion with somebody else about that, and then in turn have them share with me what's happening for them. And I'm able to make space for what their experience is.
That's so wise. You know, what I learned from you is you have to create a safe space for yourself, a safe space within, so that you could be a safe space for others as well.
Yeah. And be empathetic to one another and be compassionate to one another. That is important.
So what I heard from you, quiet time with self, so maybe meditation, definitely. Your essential aromatherapy I see in the back.
Always.
Is there anything else that you did that helped you to reach that good space within?
This is going to sound so cliche. However, there is something to it. Some of the things I honestly did, cycling was a big one. Specifically, I mean, I'm fortunate to live in a beautiful state. I cycle at the beach. There's something about watching and feeling waves crash that feels very calming and reassuring. Going out to the desert, planting your feet on the ground and the dirt and the soil and just really standing in it. You feel a very strong connection. As you pointed out, the therapy.
Reconnected with nature.
Yes, exactly. And thereby reconnecting with yourself. And yoga is a big part as well. Just knowing when that you really need to stop. Like, I think knowing when you need to stop, like, okay, this is feeling kind of shaky for me and I need a break to reassess, or the rest part. It's not any one thing, and I had to find what worked for me, any combination of those things. And honestly, it's just putting on music, like really good music, to unwind and really connect with the lyrics or of whatever that song might be.
That's so true. When the music hits you, you feel no pain. Thank you so much, Clarissa, for taking some time out of your very, very busy schedule as an attorney and the owner of your own law firm. We completely appreciate it, and we appreciate you for sharing your experience and your spiritual journey.
Thank you so much for having me and inviting me on. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully I'll see you again.
Yes, we would love to have you on again. And for anyone who's watching, let's continue to elevate and grow together. And if you feel like something is missing on the inside, or you're not connected to your purpose, or you feel unfulfilled, please take Clarissa's advice to just take some time to really check in with yourself. Check in with yourself and give yourself the space without distractions to hear what it is that you truly need. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you never miss another video. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.